streets to the world. BEFM 부산영어방송.
Beach.
Oh yeah!
Camping.
Oh yeah!
Swimming.
Oh yeah!
Summer is awesome.
Mosquitoes,
Oh no.
tropical nights,
Oh no.
food poisoning.
Oh no.
Summer is awful.
But you know, you can always prevent food poisoning.
Oh, really?
Of course. I'll tell you. Follow me, okay? First, wash your hands, utensils, and food surfaces often. Second, cook and store your food at safe temperatures and always use clean water. Third, defrost food safely. The best way to do it is in the refrigerator. Fourth, keep raw food separate from ready-to-eat food to prevent cross-contamination. Last but not least, always remember that eating safely is the best way to enjoy your meal. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, 부산영어방송.
During the span of 1,023 days, from August 18, 1950, 2 months after the Korean War had begun, until August 15, 1953, when the Korean government was re-established in Seoul, the city of Busan had served as the provisional capital. The president and government officials, soldiers and civilians had all made their way down to Busan to avoid the war. A city of 400,000 quickly turned into a city of 1 million. Since then, 8 places, which include the Provisional Government Building, the Busan Modern History Museum, and the UN Memorial Park, have been listed as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. In 2025, the list of World Heritage Sites will be finalized by UNESCO. Korea, one of the last remaining divided countries in the world, and the city of Busan, once the provisional capital, still value and send out that same message of peace. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM, 부산영어방송.
The time is now 2 o'clock.
Welcome to BFM News at 2. I'm David Kim. Finance Minister Choi Sang-mo called for intensive monitoring of the financial market due to increased volatility amid fears of a U.S. recession and other global concerns. This statement was made during a meeting with ministry officials after South Korean shares fell sharply, influenced by disappointing U.S. job reports and recession fears. The Korea Exchange activated sidecar trading curbs on the Kospi market to halt program trading for 5 minutes after the index dropped over 5%. By noon, the Kospi had declined 5.51% to 2,528.84 points, and Choi emphasized the need for vigilance and continuous monitoring in close cooperation with relevant agencies. State media reported today North Korean leader Kim Jong-un attended a ceremony to mark the transfer of a new type tactical ballistic missile weapon system considered pivotal for the armed forces. According to the Korean Central News Agency KCNA, the ceremony held on Sunday featured 250 new type tactical ballistic missile launchers. In his speech, Kim stated that a key military enhancement task from the 8th WPK Congress has been successfully completed. While the report did not provide specifics about the new system or the location of the inspection, photos suggest it is the Hwasong-11 launcher, likely to be deployed near the military demarcation line with South Korea. In local news, Busan City will run a voluntary pet registration period from today until September the 30th for citizens who have not yet registered their dogs. During this period, fines for failing to register pets or for delayed change reports will be waived. According to the current Animal Protection Act, dogs older than 2 months must be registered within 30 days of ownership or once they become eligible for registration. Pet owners can visit designated veterinary clinics to have a microchip implanted in their dogs for registration. There are 2 types of microchips, the internal, which is implanted, and external, which is attached to a collar. Due to the risk of loss or damage, the internal type is recommended. The changes can be reported online via the National Animal Protection Management System or www.animal.go.kr. Starting today until the 13th of September, Busan City, in collaboration with the Busan headquarters of the Korea Rent-A-Car Association, will conduct joint inspections of car rental businesses. This initiative aims to establish industry order and eradicate illegal activities through preemptive inspections, minimizing inconvenience for tourists using rental cars during the summer vacation season. All 126 car rental businesses will be inspected. Key inspection items include compliance with registration standards and conditions, prior explanation and implementation of rental agreements, and verification of driver qualifications through the Driver Qualification Verification System. In international news, Israeli airstrikes on 2 schools in Gaza have reportedly killed dozens of people, according to Palestinian rescuers and news sources. Some of the casualties were displaced individuals taking shelter at the schools. The Israel Defense Forces, IDF, confirmed the strikes, stating they targeted Hamas command and control centers located within the 2 Gaza City schools. This marks the 3rd instance in a week where schools in Gaza have been hit by Israeli airstrikes. And now taking a look at the weather here. Heat wave warning remains in effect in Busan City, with the mercury currently averaging 32 and 34 degrees Celsius depending on the region. Sunny clear skies will continue throughout the day. Infants, the elderly, and people with chronic illnesses are advised against going out, especially during the hottest hours of 2 to 5 p.m. And that'll have to do it for this hour's news. Thank you for joining us. You're listening to BEFM 부산영어방송.
Your best choice. BEFM 부산영어방송.
Coming up next is 2 p.m. Reboot with Casey McKeever. BEFM 부산영어방송.
What other things have you done before you got your current job? As a university student, you probably had some experience of doing something unusual that you wouldn't normally encounter. You know, I think that the more diverse experiences you have, the more helpful it is when working any future or current job. At least you'll be able to understand more diverse occupations. Today, we're going to learn about famous actors who had really weird jobs before finding fame. It's Monday, August the 5th, 2024. My name's Nick, and this is 2 p.m. Reboot. Let's get it started. That was Virtual Insanity by Jamiroquai. Do you feel like you're living in a virtual insanity sometimes? What does that even look like? It could be a social media reference, but this song is actually quite... it's been some time since it was released. Jamiroquai is one of my favorite artists, and this is a great song. And this song is known for its innovative music video especially, which was directed by Jonathan Glazer, with creative assistance from Smoke and Mirrors founder Sean Brufton. So it shows JK dancing across what appears to be a shifting grey floor, while furniture around him stays still unless he bids it to move. While K looks like he's gliding along a giant conveyor belt, the trick didn't lie in the floor at all, but it was actually in the walls, which were built to move around the stationary floor. You know, this video won 4 out of 10 nominations, MTV Video Music Awards in 1997, the Breakthrough Video, Video of the Year, Best Special Effects in a Video, and Best Cinematography. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. It is 2 PM Reboot. My name is Nick. How are you doing? Did you have a good weekend? It was boiling hot. It was crazily hot, but I hope you had fun. Maybe you went to the beach. Did you avoid the crowds? Did you avoid the traffic? Let me know. You're live in the studio in Busan on this Monday afternoon, listening to us on BEFM 90.5 in Busan and 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Dongguan and Noksan areas. You can also listen to us in Seoul at TBS EFM 101.3 FM and GGN Gwangju 98.7 FM. That is the global Gwangju network. This show is also being streamed on YouTube, so you can come say hi, see my face as well. Hello there, everybody. But I do have to warn you, due to music copyright issues, unfortunately, YouTube users can't listen to the music. The music is going to be muted while songs are playing, but you can, if you want to, listen to the songs with our smartphone app or just on FM radio as well. I know it's not convenient, but unfortunately it's the best we can do, so I hope this problem is fixed soon. We've got some messages coming in. We have Chae Sung Nim saying hello there. Welcome to the show. Neil Nim saying hello as well. Hopefully you're having a great day fighting the heat. I'm going to let you know what's coming up in today's 2-hour show. In the first hour, we have Hot Off the Press. You can check out the newest, hottest tracks from the world of music. We also have a segment with Chris for Need to Know. That's a question, Need to Know. Under-the-radar stories he'll bring from outside the mainstream media, but are still classified as important. And then in hour 2, it doesn't stop there. We've got Daily List. Now, in this segment, we go over all of the lists in the world. There is a list for everything, and we aim to find them all. Daily List covers all the lists from the best of to the worst of. And today's topic is something I'm really excited for because I'm really curious. I'll tell you what it is. Actors who had really weird jobs before finding fame. You know, we talked about this in the intro a bit. Really weird jobs before finding fame. And when I say really weird, it's not like they're strange, crazy jobs. I mean, compared to what they're doing now. You know, they're millionaires, they're stars in Hollywood, but they were doing seemingly normal and maybe mundane things. We're going to go over them. I'll give you one hint. One example from an actor who's coming up is George Clooney. All right? George Clooney is in the list. And he had a very... Actually, you know what? I think this kind of suits him. He was a salesman of some sort. And you know George Clooney, a very 매력적인 남자, right? He's a very charming, good-looking, very popular guy. So I can imagine him being a good salesman. If he came to my door, I'd probably buy something as well. But what kind of salesman was he? What kind of salesman do you think George Clooney was before he became a megastar? That's coming up in the Daily List in hour 2. After that, we have Me, Myself and I, where I share stories about us as human beings and why we think or behave the way we do. Today, we're going to go over qualities of mental toughness. After that, we have Perfect Playlists. We pick the best songs for every situation. And of course, I'll be checking your messages throughout the show. This week's Perfect Playlist, I like it. I like it very much. I'm going to tell you later, but the Perfect Playlist is kind of about where I am from, if that gives you any hints at all. I'm going to ask you today's question of the day, today's text topic. 네, 오늘의 텍스트 토픽입니다. What is the most unusual job you've ever done? What's the most unusual job you've ever done? 네, 지금까지 해본 가장 특이한 직업은 무엇인가요? What is the most unusual job you've ever done? Be honest. I'd love to hear some of the kind of wacky, strange jobs that you've done. I'll share some of mine too. I don't know if I want to share all of them, but I'll share some if you share some. That's the deal right here. You can send your answers into pound 9050, 샵 9050, which will cost you 101, or a KakaoTalk message. Just search for BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. Add us and send us messages for free. You can also search the same things on the smartphone app, that is BEFM 부산영어방송, in any of the app stores as well. Listen to the program, leave us a comment, get involved, and let's just have some fun. Before we move on, I do want to state that we do have a heat wave warning. Currently, a heat wave warning is in effect in most parts of the country. Please avoid outdoor activities as much as possible. When going out, wear light clothing, a wide-brimmed hat, and carry a water bottle. Construction sites strictly adhere to heat safety rules such as water, shade, rest, and actively implement the heatwave break time system during the hottest hours. Thoroughly prepare for the heat wave, such as drinking enough water and having a short break. If you have symptoms such as dizziness, nausea, or a headache, please use a cool place to rest. Everyone, please be safe. I know it's lovely. I know it's the summer, it's exciting, but please remember, follow these safety rules and have a safe, fun summer. We're going to be back with Hot Off the Press after this song. This is Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash.
should I go?
Welcome back, everyone, to 2 PM Reboot. We just listened to Should I Stay or Should I Go by The Clash. A question we might often find ourselves asking when we're at somebody's house and we don't know if they want to kick us out or if we should stay. It's one of those life questions. A great song by The Clash as well. If there are any fans of British music, today is going to be a treat for you. And now it's a treat as well because there's more music. It's time for Hot Off the Press. From Monday to Friday, we bring two of the newest, hottest tracks from the world of music. A lot of songs are released every single week, and we're going to choose the best ones and introduce them to you. So let's get into it. Our first song is The Feeling You Get by Empire of the Sun. Now, the Empire of the Sun are an Australian electronic music duo, and they've returned with their fourth album, Ask That God. The band's Luke Steele and Nick Littlemore bring a kind of spiritual approach to their music, curating an uplifting experience. The duo has embarked on a new chapter this year. They're beginning with a series of 5 previously released singles from the album. Now, the album's uplifting lead single, Changes, it sets the stage for this new era, exploring the theme of rebirth, and others, including Cherry Blossom, Music on the Radio, and The Feeling You Get. And this is a very new song, so we're going to listen to that as our first song. Our second song of Hot Off the Press is Biting My Tongue by Joshua Bassett. Have you ever bit your tongue? You know, you're about to say something you might regret, but then you quickly think, 이렇게 말하면 안 되겠네. So you bite your tongue, you stop yourself from saying it. Well, American actor and singer Joshua Bassett's debut album, The Golden Years, taps into a deep vein of bittersweet nostalgia. Songwriting has been more than a pastime for Bassett, apparently. It's an escape fashioned on his insatiable need to put his emotion down on paper and reflect on his past as he hopes to understand and learn love. He said that the first song and the last song on the album that he wrote 4 years ago, and the rest of it has kind of happened in between. He went through lots of different seasons in life creating this album, apparently, but he finally feels like it's ready, and it finally feels like all of the songs sort of fell into place. So if you're a fan of Joshua Bassett, this will be a treat. We've got 2 songs right here for today's Hot Off the Press. We're going to listen to Biting My Tongue by Joshua Bassett, but first it is The Feeling You Get by Empire of the Sun. Welcome back, everyone. We were just listening to two songs from Hot Off the Press. That was The Feeling You Get by Empire of the Sun and Biting My Tongue by Joshua Bassett, two recently released songs. And every day we have new and trendy songs from Hot Off the Press, so make sure you stick around for that every single day. Well, welcome back, everybody. The time is now 2:30 in the afternoon. You're listening to a 2 p.m. Reboot. I'm your temporary host, Nick, and we've got a few messages coming in. A lot of them kind of related to today's text topic. I'll remind you of that once more. What is the most unusual job you've ever done? 네, 지금까지 해본 가장 특이한 직업은 무엇인가요? 네, 오늘의 텍스트 토픽입니다. Let's have a look here. We've got Nicholas, same name as me. Hello, my friend, on YouTube Live, saying, arrange books in the school library, in my case. That's kind of unusual. I've never done that. Is it a job or is it was it voluntary work? Because if it's a job, that's pretty chill, man. You know, you got silence around you. You get to explore a lot of books. I'd say that's pretty cool. We've also got 4625번님 saying, 어머, 닉, 반가워요. 어쩐 일이에요? 휴가 갔다가 일상 복귀했더니 닉이 딱. Oh, 감사합니다. Thank you for welcoming me back, my friend. I'm actually just covering for Casey while he's away temporarily. Casey will be back maybe next week or in a couple of weeks, but I'll be filling in, holding down the fort until then. But thank you for your warm welcome, and it's lovely to see you again. We've also got Lee Kelly-Nim. Hello, my friend, saying being a teacher. It's the only job in the world where you steal stuff from home and bring it to work. That, and these days teachers are expected to be everything. Yeah, no worries about admitting to a crime on radio, but I totally agree. I used to be... Oh, no, you're stealing stuff from home, not from... I thought you said you're stealing stuff from work. I agree. I used to be a teacher, and you have to bring all of your own materials. Oftentimes, I'd bring my own, craft materials from home. You know, it's not the best deal, but, power to all the teachers out there, especially to you, my friend, as well. Hyting, and I'm sure you're a great teacher because I know you love kids, man. So, good job to you. Keep them coming in. I want to hear what your unusual jobs are. I'll let you know mine later on because it's a little bit, I don't know if I can say it. It's a little bit gruesome. It's a little bit grim. So maybe I'll talk to my producer in a little while and see if I can say it or not. But send all your messages into pound 9050, 샵 9050, which will cost you 101 or a Kakao Talk message. You can also search for BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean. Add us and send us messages for free. Or also download the smartphone app from any of the app stores and search for the same thing. Coming up next, we have Chris in the studio. We've got Need to Know, where we're going to find out about two interesting topics. Before that, though, we're going to have a quick logo, and we'll be right back. I am loving that 80s synth intro to this segment, and it's my first time meeting my guest in the studio. Hello there, Chris.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
Not bad. It's a little bit warm out.
Just a little.
A little. Yeah.
It's a pleasure to meet you. So I guess I should be doing my introductions. Tell me about yourself.
Well, I'm an English professor over at Busan University. I've been in Korea for about 13 or so years.
Okay. Yeah.
Really enjoying myself here, except for this heat that's making me melt every time I go outside.
I mean, you've braved it for 13 years. There's got to be something you like.
Well, Korea is great. Yeah. This heat, though, I'm glad it only comes like once or twice a year.
So you're not a heat fan?
Not a heat fan.
Where are you from, then?
I'm from the United States, the state of Ohio.
Is Ohio quite a hot state?
About this temperature, maybe late August for like 2 days.
Okay. All right, then. So but this temperature, not as humid?
About the same humidity.
Oh, really?
But then it goes away quick.
Okay.
It doesn't stick around. This is too much for me.
You see, I'm from, nearby London in England, where the weather is terrible. So when I get this, it feels like I'm in an exotic wonderland, and I quite like it.
Oh yeah, I believe the news was making fun of the people around England for their heat wave.
It's because we don't have air conditioning infrastructure.
That is true.
That's pretty bad. Anyway, before we dive in, I do want to, I know it's our first time meeting, but I want to ask you your strange job. What is the strangest, or maybe just most unique job you've ever held?
Well, I've had couple strange jobs. I think the strangest one, I worked for a horticultural institute.
Oh, like flowers and stuff?
Flowers, and they were a research facility. And so they were doing research on rhododendrons. And they hired me for 2 summers. And my entire job was what they called deadheading, which was to pick off the old flowers that had already bloomed before they could make seeds and just put them on the ground.
Oh, okay.
So I did that for 8 hours a day for 5-6 weeks. Just pick flower, drop it on the ground.
How old?
I was 16 the first time and 18 the second time.
So it's like an honest job when you're young. Yeah. It sounds very mundane.
Yeah, it was very repetitive, very boring, and a little dangerous. I think some of those rhododendron tree plants went up like good 2-3 meters off the ground.
Oh,
so.
Wow. I mean, that sounds, it's one of those jobs you can kind of stick your headphones in and just chill out, zone out and do your job.
Yeah, pretty much that's what it was, because otherwise it was terribly boring.
I can kind of imagine. We got Nicholas Nim here saying, Ohio to Busan. Yeah. Also saying that his library arranging books was a monthly salary job. That's awesome. I'm kind of jealous.
It is pretty chill, just relaxing, putting books up.
Yeah. All right, I'll tell you before we go my crazy job. When I was 13, I had a winter job at a farm plucking turkeys.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw the process of them, going through what they go through, and then they handed me the turkeys and I had to pluck the feathers from them. 깃털을 뽑는 거.
I imagine that would turn most people into a vegetarian.
I didn't eat turkey for 20 years after that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But yeah, it was kind of weird. Keep telling us your strange jobs. And we have 0738번님, new messenger saying, 여기로 보내면 되나요? 네, 맞습니다. 여기로 보내시면 돼요. Please send us your messages. All right, so this segment looks at some news, right?
Yes, it's stuff that is just under the radar that you may not have heard about.
Great. All right, so I'm looking forward to what's going to
Yeah, so
up.
Before we begin, I want to know, where are you going this summer?
Nowhere.
Nowhere?
I just came back from a trip. So
where'd you come from?
Kind of a bit around the world.
Around the world.
Yeah, I did a few months.
Yeah, we've got a lot of things that people really do like to travel.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the things that the pandemic showed us is how short life is and how much having the freedom to travel is important to us. And after this most recent pandemic travel restrictions, after they were loosened, we collectively increased our travel by over 600% at its highest points.
Wow.
And much of this travel happened to already famous places, mostly Europe, the Americas, Japan. And in spite of airfare increasing over 60%, the average American still spent over $4,000 per trip, with most of that spending happening at the location.
Oh, so not necessarily on the flights themselves.
That being, the travelers budgeted more for on-site or in-destination spending.
That's a lot of money. I mean, I guess when I was young, my parents, because they're doing for a family, these days I just travel just myself and my wife.
Yeah.
Doesn't reach this much, but do you go all out when you go traveling?
I try not to. Try and budget as much as possible. But the locations, they do like the money. The money is good. The economic boost helps them. And while there are many people who do enjoy traveling and are respectful of the place, there are others who aren't.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And also, temporary residents put a lot of strain on the local infrastructure, even when they are being respectful. So locals in many places are complaining about the increase in tourists. In fact, the mayor of Barcelona, Spain, has publicly talked about plans to limit tourism recently. But it's Venice, Italy, that has taken actual steps to reduce the number of visitors, or at least large groups of visitors in the city.
Interesting, because Venice is one of the hottest destinations for couples. That's quite crazy. I've heard recently Japan is doing the same thing because, the Japanese yen is quite far down. Lots of tourists are going and causing problems, I hear, in like Kyoto and places like that.
Yeah.
I guess it's a global phenomenon going right now.
Global phenomenon, yeah.
So what have they done in Venice?
Well, because Venice is a popular spot, and I know you said it's popular for couples, but one of the things, they have large groups come through, large tour groups. Many tour agencies offer groups around the city, and these groups can get pretty big. Imagine 50, 100 people crowded around a tour guide. One of the new rules is to cap these groups to 25 people people at most.
Okay. Well, I've never been to Venice, but you see from the videos and the pictures, it's made of tiny bridges, tiny roads next to the rivers. It's got to be pretty congested.
Yeah, it's the major problem in Venice that has with these large groups is the city itself was built on a group of small islands, and the sidewalks along the canals weren't built with the idea of large groups of tourists, of people blocking the way. When you have a group of 50 people walking along, it makes it very difficult for locals to go around, go about their business. And local authorities are hoping that the smaller size groups will ensure that pedestrians can move around more freely.
So smaller groups, is there anything else? Or?
Well, they're also, one other thing that they're doing is banning the use of loudspeakers by tour guides. Have you seen these things before?
Well, no, I didn't know they did because, for example, if you go to Rome, like a Colosseum tour, they give you in-ear headphones and microphone.
Well, a lot of the tour guides will use a loudspeaker on their body,
really,
and project that to the group, and that really can get in the way of peaceful living.
Noise pollution.
Yeah, noise pollution. So imagine it's Saturday morning and you're trying to sleep in, and this large group of tourists walk by with a tour guide with a loudspeaker.
Yeah.
You can hear it all the way down the street. It's not really something. It's annoying when it happens once a day. Now imagine it 2-3 times an hour. Now, local authorities said that it was aimed to protecting the peace of residents.
Okay, I imagine that'd help a bit. I never imagine, when you think of Venice, I don't think a residential city. I think of just like a tourist destination.
Yeah, people forget that there are residents who live there year-round and make a living.
Kind of reminds me of Kamcheon Bunamaul in Busan, right? It's becoming so popular these days, but there are people that live there.
Yeah.
And, there are so many people going. It's got to be a bit disruptive.
Yeah, and these things will help a bit. But in addition, they also piloted a travel tax. The local authorities called it a payment system, in which they introduced a €5 ticket to enter the city for travelers who were not staying overnight. Those with hotel reservations just needed to book a spot on the island in advance. This pilot ended in July, and the results of the project were being examined too, and it will probably be returned in the future.
Interesting. I don't know, just from my personal sense reasoning, I feel like if you're spending thousands of dollars for a ticket at this place, €5 isn't going to deter many people.
Probably not, but these are for day trippers who probably live nearby.
Okay.
Or for the large cruise ships that park out in the water that just have people come in for a day and then leave.
Hopefully it'll help. But, Venice, I'm sure, isn't the only city in Italy with these issues.
Yeah, even Florence, Capri, there are at least 10 other cities in the country that have implemented some type of restrictions. So if you're traveling to Italy this summer, please be mindful of these restrictions that are brand new.
Great advice. Italy, one of the most beautiful countries in the world with one of the best cuisines in the world. Please be respectful. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back very soon for part 2. This is A Time of the Season by the Zombies. Welcome back, everybody, to the show. That was Time of the Season by the Zombies. We're in the middle of a segment, Need to Know, with Chris in the studio. We just went over a piece of news about tourism, especially in Italy, which has seen a huge rise, and there's lots of disturbances. Welcome back, Chris.
Thank you very much.
And what's our next news piece going to be?
Well, why don't we start by, could you tell me your top 5 food ingredients? Ingredients.
Oh, you mean when I make food myself?
Yeah.
Garlic, number 1. 마늘.
Yeah.
진짜 맛있어요. Onions, chili peppers, curry powder. I don't know. Rice or pasta.
Pasta?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
How about the protein? What do you usually use?
Protein, chicken breast or 다진 고기, like mince meat.
Yeah. It's quite nice just to have like something healthy like chicken breast.
For sure.
But honestly, growing like things like beef and pork or even chicken comes with an environmental trade-off.
Yes.
And while sustainable agriculture can limit some of these environmental harms, there's one thing that can't be fixed, and that's the amount of land that is required. Currently, 80% of agricultural land is used to raise livestock. And what studies have shown is that as societies grow richer, like is happening in China and India, the amount of meat people eat goes up. And at some point, we aren't going to be able to provide enough meat to meet the demand for everybody. And with the unpredictability of the weather systems, I mean, we've got the heat wave going on here, due to global warming and the likelihood of crop failures, that means many nutrition scientists, fear that food insecurity will rise in the near future.
Could this mean that we might have to go vegetarian or vegan?
Well, scientists are trying to avoid that by investigating other possibilities.
Okay.
Currently, the world makes enough food for everybody to eat nearly 6,000 calories per day. Most of the food insecurity now is due to improper distribution systems and food waste. Fixing this is what's needed, but in the near future, we're going to need new sources of calories.
So right now, 6,000 calories per day is being produced in the world, which is almost 3 times the amount for the average guy that a guy needs to eat per day. Yeah. It makes you wonder why there's so much famine in the world, right?
Yeah.
But what sources then are you talking about?
Well, we're talking about bugs or insects.
Yeah.
Well, mostly crickets and mealworms, but other insects as well.
Oh.
There's a restaurant in Singapore, the House of Seafood, which has become the first restaurant in the country to put insects on the menu after authorities have approved 16 insect species for human consumption.
Lovely jubbly.
In 2019, Singapore announced that it wanted to produce 30% of its nutritional needs on the island by 2030 instead of relying on imports. And while there is a yuck factor to eating them, insects could help move the city towards achieving this goal.
Now, I know insects are quite, controversial because, like you said, the yuck factor is there.
Yes.
But I have seen a lot of news and a lot of media that shows a lot of, I don't want to say tribes, but lots of communities thrive on this source of protein.
Yeah, there are already lots of cultures that include insects in their diet. This is because insects are almost all protein and they're easy to produce and sustainable. Korea itself sells insects as a popular street food and at festivals. If you've ever had bondegi, you've eaten an insect. Insects, they're closely related to crabs, lobsters, and shrimp. So nutritionally, there's very little difference.
I know. Like I have a friend who doesn't eat crabs or lobsters because he calls them the insects of the sea.
Yeah.
But I guess it's because we're conditioned from a young age that, seafood, it's good. It's delicious and healthy. But then you see an insect, you're like, ugh.
Yeah.
We have Soinim saying, insects. I do kind of agree. Have you ever tried like a metugi or like bondegi?
I have tried bondegi, yes.
Yeah. Did you like it?
The way it was cooked, I did not like it too much.
I'm not
It was
fan.
the texture that really got me more than the flavor.
Yeah, metugi is quite nice, but they don't sell that much anymore. The crickets, the grasshoppers.
Yeah.
So what is this restaurant serving?
So far, the House of Seafood has 30 dishes that feature insects. Think dishes like squid ink pasta sprinkled with house crickets or fish head curry with a side of mealworms. The most popular one is a tofu made to look like bugs are crawling out of it. And this is popular for those creators of short-form videos trying to capture the shock factor of the food.
I don't know anyone, unless you're filming for social media or TV, why you would want to see an explosion of bugs out of tofu.
Yeah, it's got to do with the clicks on the social medias.
Exactly. We have Chae Sung-nim messaging in saying, I can't imagine other than silkworm. Are you a fan of silkworm, Chae Sung-nim? Do you like pondegi? A lot of people do like it. You still see it on the streets,
yes.
Which is great. So which insects have been approved? Because, there are billions of insects.
Yeah,
right?
the 16 that they've been approved, at least one of them will be familiar, and that's the silkworm, which can be eaten both as the moth form and the larval form. There are also 4 types of crickets, 2 types of grasshoppers, a locust, a honeybee, 3 types of mealworms, grubs, and giant rhino beetle grubs, as well as 2 species of moths.
I mean, I don't want to insult any culture, but 소름 좀 끼치네.
Yeah, it's that ick factor that most people have to get over.
It's just a cultural thing.
Yeah.
It's a cultural kind of my own personal prejudices that make me not want to eat
it's
it.
the why bondegi is fine, but crickets are not.
Exactly. It's discrimination, right?
In order to maintain safety, all the insects that are consumed at this restaurant, they must be farm raised in a controlled environment and cannot be fed contaminants like manure or rotted food. The Food and Agriculture Organization has also been promoting farming of insects for human consumption and animal feed.
Oh, I can understand for animal feed.
Yeah.
Even,
at least you don't have to look at it that way.
It's not direct.
Yeah.
직접 벌레를 먹는 게 아니라서. So is this something that is really important?
Well, yeah, it's very important for food shocks. We've got things like the wars happening over in the Ukraine, shocking a lot of the wheat supply. So things like that. But right now, the biggest limitation is the cost factor of the insects. All of the insects at the House of Seafood are imported, and it makes up about 10% of the cost. And there is definitely a market for people wanting to try food, the experimental foodies as they are, and who are willing to pay a premium for it.
Paying a premium for bugs. It reminds me, have you ever tried gopchang?
Yeah.
The intestine tripe, right?
Yes.
I love it.
Very delicious.
Delicious. But, back in the day, it was like the leftover food that people didn't really, it was like a wartime food.
Yeah.
But now, you go to like a gopchang or makchang restaurant, you pay premium prices, which is weird. I mean, I do too, because I love it, but it's interesting to say the least, right? Yeah. So this has been really interesting. I don't know how soon I'm going to be into this bug craze, but who knows, 20 years down the line when there's a land crisis, could be forced to.
Yes.
There we go. All right, Chris, thank you very much for bringing us this really interesting news. It was a pleasure, and I might see you next week as well.
Yes, have a good one.
All right, everyone. We're going to start wrapping up today's show for the first half. Don't worry. We're coming back very soon at 3 p.m. Lots of messages coming in as well. Mioxdeliunim saying, Happy Monday, Nick. Hope you had a nice weekend. Thank you for coming in. I did, and I hope you did too. Soinim as well, saying... something 목소리 너무 좋으셔요. 자주 올게요. 감사합니다. Or maybe you were talking to Chris. He has a wonderful voice too as well. Keep the messages coming in. We're going to finish off with Open the Red Box by Simply Red. I'll see you very soon.
부산영어방송.
혹시 지금 운전 중이신가요? 어린이 교통사고 피해자 수는 지난 3년 평균 약 9만 명. 특히 어린이 보호구역 안전 기준이 강화된 이후에도 어린이 보호구역 내 사고는 지속적으로 발생하고 있습니다. 스쿨존에서는 반드시 시속 30km 이하 서행, 스쿨존 내 불법 주정차 금지, 차량 출발 전 앞뒤 좌우 살피는 습관으로 어린이가 안전한 도시를 만듭니다. 참, 운전 중 휴대전화 사용은 모두에게 위험합니다. 우리 모두를 위한 교통안전, 나부터 실천하면 모두가 안전해집니다. 어린이가 안전하게 뛰어놀 수 있는 부산. 아이 키우기 좋은 도시는 우리 모두의 미래이자 희망입니다. 이 캠페인은 어린이가 안전한 부산을 만드는 은행, B&K 부산은행과 함께합니다.
Hello, I'm Mona Farouk from Egypt. When I moved to Busan in 2014, my daughter was only 12. She came with me and her brother because I started my work as a professor of Arabic language in Busan University of Foreign Studies. I remember how excited my kids were when seeing the first snow in Busan. That year, my daughter started special training for figure skating. In Busan, she was lucky to be able to take serious steps in achieving the dream of becoming a professional ice skater. Many foreigners come to Busan carrying their love for the Korean culture. I was one of those who were fond with Busan's culture, society, history, and all aspects of Korean life. Busan, the city of opportunities. Global City Busan, we are in it together. This campaign is brought to you by BEFM 부산영어방송.
The time is now 3 o'clock.
You know, I've always said, when you listen to that song, if you don't listen to that last part, 그 마지막 부분 못 들으면, it's not worth listening to the song. It's such an amazing, important part, that operatic singing, the orchestra. It's just amazing. One of the best 70s songs in my opinion. And looking at the comments on YouTube Live and KakaoTalk, we have a lot of fans of it too. 소희님 saying 좋아하는 노래네요. And Nicholas 님 saying 저도 그 생각했는데요. I love this song, my type of music. Kind of feels like today's weather. Mr. Blue Sky for sure. Very blue, very intense today as well. But it is a classic song by Electric Light Orchestra. Now, this song closes the side of the Out of the Blue album, known as Concerto, for a Rainy Day. The lyrics are subtly uplifting, following the concept of a rainy day that comes to an end. Now, many movie lovers might recognize this song from the opening credits of the 2017 movie Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, in which the director James Gunn called the most hugely insane shot I've ever done. You remember, like, the camera's like circling around this big fight scene and all of the characters, going crazy, and this song is playing. It's really cool. But that's one of the best things about that series of movie, right? Chris Pratt, the character, was Star-Lord. He listens to all of these old retro tunes while doing action scenes. It's a great contrast. I love it. And I'll let you know something interesting. This band, Electric Light Orchestra, there's an acronym. 이 Electric Light Orchestra의 약자는 ELO 있잖아요. 영국식 영어로 얘기하면 ELO 이라고 합니다. Hello, 안녕하세요, hello. Kind of English people, sometimes we miss the H. Instead, we don't say hello, we say hello. Me too, sometimes. I'm guilty of that. Not on radio, I try to speak properly, but when I'm talking to my friends, I often say hello. So there you go. Great song, and there's more great music coming your way. You're live in the studio in Busan this Monday afternoon. Welcome to the program. You're listening on BEFM 90.5 in Busan and 103.3 FM in the Gijang, Jeongwan, and Noksan areas. I'm your host, Nick, and this show also airs in Seoul, TBS EFM 101.3 FM and GGN Gwangju 98.7 FM. Nicholas Nim practicing saying hello. Hello, Nick. If you ever go to England, try saying hello. How you doing? You can say hello, governor. It just means hello, mate. Hello, 친구. Hello, governor. It's very common. Yeah. What was I saying? Oh, hour 2. Yeah, the time is now 3:07 in the afternoon. The second half is going to be full of great stuff. We've got daily list. There's a list for everything, and we find it all. We cover from the best of to the worst of. And today's topic is actors who had really weird jobs before finding fame. I look forward to this. After that is Me, Myself and I, where I share stories about us as human beings and why we think or behave the way we do. Today, we're going to talk about qualities of mental toughness. Following that is Perfect Playlist, where we pick the best songs for every situation, and I'll be checking your messages throughout the show as well. I'm going to remind you of today's text topic, which is, what is the most unusual job you've ever done? 네, 오늘의 텍스트 토픽입니다. 지금까지 해본 가장 특이한 직업은 무엇인가요? Let me know, #9050, 샵 9050, which will cost you 101. A KakaoTalk message, just search for BEFM or 부산영어방송 in Korean, or also search up the, the app. That's it, the app. You can search the app and search for the same thing as well. Let's take a look at some more messages. We have Neil-님 saying 중국집에서 양파 까는 알바 해본 적이 있는데요. 요즘엔 에어건이 있어서 쉽게 하지만 오래전에는 손으로 까야 해서 눈물 안 흘리게 수영할 때 쓰는 안경 끼고 했었네요. That's genius. Every time I cut onions, I always think, how can I stop myself from crying? You just wear goggles. Brilliant. Brilliant. And people use air guns to cut onions? It's genius. Do it from far away. That'll stop you from crying for sure. That's a really interesting job. Onion cutter in a Chinese restaurant. I like it. I like it a lot. Also earlier we have Kim Joy-nim. Welcome to the show, my friend, as well. It's good to see you talking about the hot weather. Nicholas Nim also, I noticed, it said 곱창, 막창. I've never tried. Interesting. Interesting. Is there any reason you've never tried 곱창 or 막창? Is it because it kind of looks a bit weird, or the idea sounds gross, or you just never got around to it? I'm curious because I love it. And if you never tried it, totally recommend it. It's delicious. All right, we're going to take a song break and we'll be back with Daily List. This is Spiraling by Keen. We just listened to Spiraling by Keen, and now it is time for our daily list. Now, there's a list for everything, and we're going to find them all. Every day, we have a different list. Sometimes it's the best of, or the top 10, or the top 5, or the worst 5, for example. This one, really interesting, because this is actors who had really weird jobs before finding fame. It kind of relates to our text topic today, which is tell us the weirdest job you've ever had. 지금까지 해본 가장 특이한 직업은 무엇인지 알려주시면 되는데요. It relates to this also daily list, actors who had really weird jobs before finding fame. Now, Hollywood actors, they're people too, right? Hard to believe sometimes, but they're people. And before they found fame on the large screen, you know, they just had normal jobs and they had normal careers throughout their lives. For many of them, actually, they had to continue to find a way to scrape and hustle and survive, even as they started getting low-paying, predictable, kind of forgettable gigs within the entertainment industry. So, today, we're going to explore the lives of these actors before fame, and specifically we're going to reveal famous A-list stars, what they did before they got their big break in acting, or things like that. So, to start off this list, the first actor or actress, or whatever you want to call them, Whoopi Goldberg. Do you know this actress? She was in the movie Sister Act. I think it was in the late 90s or the 2000s. She's also on a TV show called The View in the US these days. But she was a comedy actor, and I used to enjoy the movie Sister Act. It was about nuns just living together and getting into drama. But Whoopi Goldberg was a mortuary cosmetologist. It's difficult to understand. Mortuary cosmetologist. Now, a mortuary is a place where those who have deceased, those who have died, is where their bodies are stored. In a morgue, right? And a cosmetologist is somebody who puts on makeup. So this is basically a job where people, they make up the dead, basically, yeah. So even before teaming up with Patrick Swayze for her romantic supernatural thriller Ghost, Whoopi Goldberg actually knew a thing or two about the dead. You know, she recalled David Letterman on Late Night how she used to work in a mortuary or in a morgue, putting makeup on corpses and styling their hair. And when you think about it, you know, people do this job. I had a friend whose parents were mortuary cosmetologists, and I just was like, that's incredible how you can do that. And apparently it's a very, very rewarding job because not everyone passes away in the nicest way. So it's a very important job for these cosmetologists to make up the bodies to make them look presentable for the family, so things can be comfortable. So a lot of respect for that. But still, you know, quite strange for Whoopi Goldberg. Next on our list, now, I've got a list of a lot of actors here. I'm going to pick and choose ones that I like and that I think you guys might like as well. Here we have Simu Liu. You know Simu Liu? He was in Shang-Chi, the Marvel movie, right? So he led the Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings cast in the title role as a superhero, right? But technically, this wasn't his first time playing a Marvel Comics character because this Canadian-Chinese actor apparently used to dress up as Spider-Man and entertain children at birthday parties. Eh? There you go, right? He used to dress up as Spider-Man and, you know, do the whole thing at children's birthday parties. And little did he know that later on he would turn out to be a superhero as well. That's really cool. That's really cool. I would never have expected that. But, you know, Simu Liu, he's a very buff guy, so he probably fit the Spider-Man suit really, really well. We got Lee Kelliner messaging in another fact, saying a couple of these. Harrison Ford, Han Solo from the original Star Trek, was a carpenter. 목수였어요. Interesting. And Steven Seagal, police officer. That's really cool as well. Let's have a look. We've got a few actresses here. Okay, everyone knows this name. Margot Robbie. She played Barbie and Harley Quinn in the Suicide Squad, right? She used to be a sandwich artist. You know, when you go make there's that sub thing, right? They make sandwiches for you, put the vegetables and meat in. Apparently, she was very passionate about breakfast items in the 2020s. You know, so she actually has experience in this. She used to make them. She used to make sandwich artists. She was a sandwich artist at Subdeng, where she actually invented her own delicious types of sandwich too. And then she became an insanely famous person. That's really cool. All right, let's move on. Who else do we have here? I'll do one more before we take a quick song break. Megan Fox. You know Megan Fox? She's been in a lot of things, but I remember her mostly from the Transformers movies, the original 2 or 3 with Shia LaBeouf. She used to be a smoothie shop banana mascot. She was a mascot. She wore a banana suit and would advertise a smoothie shop. That's pretty cool. I mean, she's a very fit and athletic-looking lady, so I'm sure she did a great job as well. And apparently the costume choice was in reference to the Transformers movie's first job at the smoothie shop. Yeah, interesting. If you ever see Megan Fox on the street advertising a smoothie, I'd go and drink there. I definitely would go and drink there. All right, we've got a few more, but we're going to take a quick song break, so hold your horses. This is Park Life by Blur. That was Park Life by Blur, and Blur are one of my favourite bands from the 90s. Earlier I was talking about how ELO, Electric Light Orchestra, the band, in England we don't always say the H. H를 막 생략해서 얘기할 때도 되게 많은데요. You could hear in that song, when he said like happy, he said I'm happy. I'm happy. 나 행복하다. I'm happy, it means. And he goes, I think about leaving the ass. Leaving the ass. I guess in American English that sounds like a bad word, but leaving the ass means leaving the house. Right, house를 ass. Oh, that sounds weird in American English, but this is British English. It means leaving the house. 집을 나갈 생각이 있다. Think about leaving the ass. Yeah. Anyway, we're going back to our segment, which is Daily List, going through actors and actresses who had interesting and unique jobs before they became famous. I'm going to move on to one of my favorite actors, at least when I was young, Hugh Jackman. Right, you all know Hugh Jackman, right? Wolverine. He just came out with Deadpool in a movie too, right? Well, guess what he used to be? He used to be a clown. Biero. He used to be a clown in a circus, I believe, entertaining children. I don't imagine Wolverine ever looking funny. He's the most fierce, manly man I've ever seen. So I can't imagine him being a clown. But, he's an Australian guy, so he's a very good actor. He puts on an American accent for the movies. But in real life, he's a very funny, bubbly guy. But it's interesting. He used to be a clown, entertaining kids. Very interesting. Another one we've got here is another kind of, not scary, but a buff dude, a very strong dude, Sylvester Stallone. You know him from Rocky? A very famous guy. When you think of like an action star, you think of a big dude with muscles, you think of Sylvester Stallone. And he used to be a girls' boarding school dorm bouncer. Right? A boarding school is one of the schools where you sleep at for a semester, right? And he was a bouncer. You know what bouncers are? 신분증을 확인하고 클럽에 못 들어오게 하는 그런 서 있는 사람들이죠. He was a bouncer at a girls' boarding school. And, he was probably a very effective bouncer because, you go in there and you come face to face with Sylvester Stallone. You're not getting in. Not that you'd want to get in, but you're not getting in. And you wouldn't even try if you saw him standing there. But there you go, eh? Sylvester Stallone used to be a girls' boarding school dorm bouncer. All right, let's do one more. Chris Pratt. As we were listening to a bit of the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, Chris Pratt, before he was famous, used to be a coupon salesperson, right? He used to be a coupon salesperson. He would go door to door and sell coupons. And apparently, he actually managed his own office of salespeople. He was that good at selling coupons. There you go. And I did mention earlier George Clooney was a salesman. He was an insurance salesman, George Clooney was. So Chris Pratt, George Clooney, the good-looking actors, they're probably really good at sales, right? Yeah, so there you go. That was today's Daily List. Very interesting. Maybe one day, if I ever make it to Hollywood, I can tell my story about how I used to pluck turkeys. That'll be interesting. Yeah. All right, we're going to take a song break and then we'll be back with our next segment, Me, Myself and I. This is She Said by Long Pigs. We just listened to She Said by Long Pigs, and before that we were going over our earlier segment Daily List, going over some celebrities and their interesting and unique, maybe a little strange former jobs. A couple of messages coming in. I like this. Soinim saying, not before famous, but after famous, Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor. Yeah, that's true. After he became famous, he decided to have a normal job. Well, if it's a normal job, but I think that's pretty cool as well. Nicholas Nim also saying, Jared Butler, lawyer. And Nawata, this is Sparta. Was he a lawyer? Wow, I didn't know that. He's also a very, I like his acting. You know, he's an action star. He makes really intense movies. I could see him being a lawyer. He seems a little intimidating. For sure. I'm sure there are loads more that we missed. If you do think of any, please keep sending them as well, because I'd like to learn some more. Anyway, it's time to move on to our next segment. The time is now 3:33 in the afternoon. It's time for Me, Myself and I. And this is where we go over some interesting things in the world of health, psychology and well-being. You know, I actually studied psychology in university, but it's been 10 years and I remember nothing. I was a graduate in psychology and I did fairly well, but I didn't have any dreams of becoming a psychologist, so I just stopped learning, and now I work as a radio guy. A bit of a different path, but it was very interesting, and this will be really interesting as well, because today we're talking about qualities of mental toughness. So apparently new research shows that it takes much more than grit to make you happy. Resilience, grit, and self-efficacy are all concepts used to help understand how people cope with stress. So new research on 6 qualities of mental toughness shows the value of inner strength for happiness. And adopting the mindset of an athletic trainer, for example, can help you build your happiness from the inside out. Now, when you stop and reflect on what can make you happy, how does rising above your challenges come to mind? There are many popular ideas about the necessary qualities to get through hard times, as well as personality traits that could feed that process. Having a bad day? Tell yourself to stop focusing on the negative. If you just push through your woes, it all goes away. This is one way to look at it. I'm also kind of like that. Push through it. Chama. I'm also kind of that mindset. It's not good all the time, and it's certainly not good for everyone, but it works for me sometimes. I try to do mind over matter. Now, in psychology, this attitude reflects concepts such as self-efficacy, or the confidence that you can complete a task successfully, and grit, or the ability to persist. Another concept, resilience, captures the sense of being able, literally, to bend under pressure. Now, this is a popular idea in the stress literature related to finding a way to cope yourself out of a situation, no matter how terrible it is. Now, there is a concept of mental toughness. According to Newcastle University's Helen St. Clair Thompson and Jessica London in 2024, all 3 of these qualities are well and good, but they still miss the mark. They cite previous research. They suggest that mental toughness can predict a range of positive outcomes above and beyond those associated with the other 3 concepts. Now, as they note, mental toughness is known to be a useful predictor of perceived stress, anxiety, depression, burnout, well-being, mental illness recovery, and happiness. Now, I'm kind of wondering, how do you all cope with these anxious times? How do you cope with stress? Are you a mentally tough person, or do you kind of let it out? Do you vent? Do you talk to people? Or do you just power through? Right. We have Nicholas Nim saying, 자효능감 말하는 건가 봐요. Yeah, I guess the ability to, kind of be efficient in yourself, right? Self-efficiency, exactly. Now, mental toughness was a concept derived from the field of sports psychology as a way to explain how athletes deal with the stress and pressure of their intensive competition and need to train. However, as the concept spread, the British authors maintained that it needed to be more precisely defined and separated from the other 3 similar qualities. Now, one way to do so was to test rigorously the connections among all 4 qualities by eliminating each one statistically in its relationship to happiness. Now, there is a mental toughness challenge. Using an online young adult sample of 367 college students, St. Clair Thompson and London, they administered questionnaires, and they were intended to capture each quality. The mental toughness scale, or MTQ, it kind of sounds like MBTI, but MTQ, it consists of items on the following scales. Number 1 is challenge. Challenges usually bring out the best in me. Number 2 was commitment. I'll do what it takes to keep my promises and achieve my goals. Number 3 was control of emotion. I can manage my emotions and the emotions of others. Number 4, control of life. I really believe I can do it. This kind of mindset. Number 5 is confidence in abilities. I believe I have the ability to do it or can acquire the ability. And number 6 was interpersonal confidence. I can influence others. I can stand my ground if needed. Now, as you see, these items tap into some qualities that might seem related to self-efficacy, or the confidence in abilities, and grit, but there is not complete overlap in terms of item content itself. The authors used a simple prediction equation in which all 4 potential contributors to happiness were factored out to see which would be related to happiness. In support of the study's hypothesis, the findings showed that the only MTQ scales significantly predicted happiness, with grit, self-efficacy, and resilience removed from the equation. Indeed, those 6 MTQ scales predicted a large percent, 65% out of a possible 100, of the variations in happiness scores. And although taken as a set of 6, the mental toughness scales were more predictive of happiness than the other measures. There were some interconnections between the other scales and MTQ, suggesting that they're not completely separate entities. The main finding, that they disappeared as predictors of happiness when mental toughness was added, still shows the value of this construct above and beyond other components of resilience and determination. Now, it's quite a lot to take in, but these studies have shown that mental toughness can be a predictor of happiness, at least compared to other measures. We have Nicholas Nim saying, I try not to think too much. It's better to be dumb. Now, I do like the phrase sometimes, ignorance is bliss. Right? 모르는 게 약이다, right? Sometimes I'm definitely of that as well. Soinim saying, whenever I come across any mental toughness, I go to bed and try to sleep well. I think this is a great idea. Sometimes it might be tough to sleep, but the next day, things just get better. Great advice, I definitely agree. We have Mioxelinim saying, I started singing bowl meditation about a month ago. It really helps me relax both physically and mentally. Singing bowl meditation, I'm going to have to look that up. I'm trying to imagine. Do you sing into a bowl? I really have no idea. It sounds really interesting. Please let me know, or I'm going to have a look up in the next song break anyway. That sounds really cool. 전동기님 as well messaging in. Hello, my friend, saying, 안녕하세요. Nice to hear your voice. I used to be a huge fan of Steve Hatherley's. Welcome to the show, my friend. Your accent is very attractive. 감사합니다. If you allow a song request, I would like to request a song adding on to the legend Britpop bands in your tunes today. Good day. Very perceptive, 전동기님. Today we are going over a lot of British bands. So for you, we're going to take a quick song break and listen to your request song. This is Start All Over by Kula Shaker. Welcome back, everybody, to the show. We just listened to a song, Start All Over by Kula Shaker, and that was requested by Chon Dong-gi-nim. Thank you very much for that amazing song request, continuing the theme of British songs today. Now, before we left for the song break, we did have Miok Stalinim messaging that she likes to do singing bowl meditation for relaxation. And I was like, what on earth is that? Even Nicholas Nim said on YouTube, he said, it's a kind of item you can use when you want to scream or sing loud because it can minimize your voice, because we should be cautious about Chingan's horn. I don't think that's what it is. Maybe it's another type. But I looked online, and let me read. I pulled it up online, and it says singing bowls are also known as Tibetan bowls. And, you just 하진 보니까 뭔지 알아요. It's those bowls that you kind of rub with a stick, and it goes... right, and it makes those vibrating, ethereal sounds that help you relax. That's awesome. And you have a set of these at home, and you do these? That sounds really cool. I know I've seen a few of these classes being advertised in Busan. I've never tried it myself. I don't think I'll go to a class, but if I have a friend who does it, maybe I'll try it. But thanks for sending that as well. Looks like a great stress management meditation. All right, everyone, it's time for our next playlist, our next segment, which is Perfect Playlist. I'm all over my words today. So it's time for Perfect Playlist, and this is where we choose the perfect songs for a perfect situation. This week's theme, which I love, is Songs of the British Invasion. Now, the British Invasion was a cultural phenomenon of the mid-1960s, right? 영국 침공이라고 하나요? Yeah. And when rock and pop music acts from the UK and other aspects of British culture became popular in the US, with significant influence on the rising counterculture on both sides of the Atlantic. I guess right now it's kind of like the Korea invasion, with K-pop kind of dominating a lot of world music. But in the 60s, it was us. A long time ago with the Beatles, right? And the first song is going to be She Loves You by the Beatles. Classic song. The Beatles tell quite a good tale in this pop song. So it's about some poor guy. He thinks he's lost his girl for good, but he's redeemed when he finds out from a friend that she still loves him. There's even a moral at the end of the story that pride can hurt you too. So it's good advice when arguing with a loved one. This is one of the 4 Beatles songs that was never released in stereo. And the other ones are Love Me Do. I love that song. It's got a great harmonica on it. I'll Get You, and You Know My Name. So the first song is going to be She Loves You by the Beatles. Our next song, another British invasion song, is by the rival band at the time, the Rolling Stones, with I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Now, this song was released in the US on June the 6th, 1965, just a month after Keith Richards woke up with the guitar riff in his head. It went to number 1 on July the 10th, where it stayed there for 4 weeks. Now, in the UK, it wasn't issued until August the 20th, 1965, because the Stones wanted to be there to support it. And it went to number 1 there on September the 15th and stayed there for 2 weeks. This song is about a man looking for authenticity, but not being able to find it through the haze of marketing. It's a great song, 2 great songs. We're going to listen to them back to back. This is She Loves You by the Beatles and I Can't Get No Satisfaction by the Rolling Stones.
She loves you.
We just listened to two songs for Perfect Playlist. That was She Loves You by the Beatles and Satisfaction by Rolling Stones. This week's themes are songs of the British invasion. 영국의 음악적인 침공이죠. Classic. And we have some messages coming in. 미옥스텔이님 saying, I love the playlist. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you. I'm so glad you like it and have an awesome afternoon too, 미옥스텔이님. 소이님. You know your British music. I'm kind of happy. He's saying, I do love Britpop, Radiohead, Oasis, Blur, Pulp, Queen, David Bowie, Pink Floyd, Suede. Classic stuff. Nicholas Nim, it's okay if you don't know them all. You're going to get to know them this week in the Perfect Playlist segment. I'll tell you, Oasis, one of my favorite, they are my favorite band in the world. When I was a teenager, I saw them a few times and changed my life. Great band. Anyway, the time is now 3:53 in the afternoon. We've come to the end of the show, unfortunately, but I'll see you tomorrow. So come back and join the fun. It's going to be a great day. I'm going to start wrapping things up. I've been your host, Nick, and our last song is Some Might Say by Oasis. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you tomorrow.